December 11th, 2018. It's Tuesday. It's Harp Tuesday. And as you can probably tell, I've lost my voice a bit. I've had a cold and a bad cough, and that's why there was no episode last week. But hopefully we'll get an episode out today. And actually, this is 8 years of Harp Tuesday. Harp Tuesday started 8 years ago in 2010. And I'll be doing a couple online events to celebrate that, so look for information on that soon. But for today, what I thought I would do was I would sort of do a follow-up episode on last Harp Tuesday's episode, which was about Deck the Halls, and do another episode on an easy arrangement of a Christmas tune, so sort of geared to somebody fairly new to the harp. And in this case, I'm going to look at O Come Emmanuel, which is this beautiful sort of plain song. Interesting history behind it. Again, recommend reading up on it on Wikipedia. And I think it has a number of things that we can discuss. So the piece, as I say, the tune, not necessarily the words, but the music, for the best of our knowledge, was 15th century or earlier, a plain song. And so we want it to flow. We want it to be just as if it was being sung by the human voice. Something that can sometimes be hard on the harp because the harp is percussive in the sense that the loudest point is always when we first play a note. We can't crescendo into a note, have a note up here and then get louder. There's always a certain attack. And of course, when we're replacing, we're muffling. And in this piece, there are, especially at the beginning, a number of replaced notes. So we want to try and make it match the human voice, flow as much as possible. So here I've put some fingerings in, and you can find this sheet music for free. There should be a link coming up somewhere around here. And these fingerings are trying to aid that sense of making it as smooth as possible. So at the very beginning, we could either, and I'm of two minds, we could either say place the thumb already or come off at the very beginning, or this is a little bit safer because we have that thumb all ready to go, but in some ways I kind of like just the freedom of coming off here on that first note. So again, you could play around with it and see what you like, but in either case, right, we have to kind of delay that placement of the second E so that we don't get, and this whole piece, right, we don't want it to be kind of feeling note by note. We want to feel it as a phrase, this so whether we start with the thumb there or not, then I'm suggesting another thumb note on that repeated B, so we don't have to switch to 2, because we're going to go to the thumb again. Sorry, just do 1. And then we get a long extended connected passage, which can make it easier to, again, make it really flow from note to note. Try to delay the placement of the third finger until the fourth finger is about to play, so we don't hear it get muffled. Then we get, again, a couple repeated spots. So again, I'm suggesting potentially we might come off on this first A, or we could place the third finger on the E. So either or, and off. So again, I kind of just like that sense of getting a little bit of a raise, maybe a little bit of a wrist movement, a little bit of a hinge at the elbow, to make that feel as supple and smooth as possible. And here, we could connect to 2, 3, 4. I'm suggesting 2, 3, 4 on those 3 notes going down, but we have some time, and I would again like to let this breathe, and visually, right, it can look as if maybe this crescendos because, so, right, can't we kind of hear that now? Crescendoing, as we have this movement, it grows before falling back down. Again, just bouncing off the thumb. This is actually the very same as the beginning, except for the start. I'll talk about that in a moment. Now just some 2 on there its own. Be a little softer. Maybe a little bit delayed there, just stretching that a little bit. Some intensity and draw back through that phrase. And again, just really hearing this long phrase, right? All these phrases into the dotted half note or the half note. I guess I always did the dotted half note. This long, sort of supple sense of each note connecting to the next, and maybe a little bit of a crescendo, maybe a little bit of a decrescendo, maybe stretching some notes, maybe pushing ahead a little bit on some. I'm not going to give you specific examples because you should experiment and see how it sounds to you, and you can hear how I've been playing it if you want some suggestions and some inspiration perhaps, but just really thinking about how you're getting from note to note, how you're connecting each of the notes to the next one in this lovely sense of line. Let's talk about left hand for a moment. So I think something that can really interfere with our ability to do that, especially when we're fairly new to the instrument, is adding left hand, because it's one thing to play just a single line, a single note, but suddenly if we've got a left hand doing stuff as well, extra complication. And so what I've done with this arrangement is I've just had the left hand playing the right hand part an octave lower. So of course you can take them both up an octave. By doing that, we hopefully help make it as smooth as possible, gets the left hand involved without maybe slowing us down as we're having to hunt and find chords or whatever with the left hand. And yet it adds a little bit more texture and a little bit more sound than if we just did the right hand all by itself. I think it has a lovely effect. If you play the double strung, you could try doing both hands in the same octave, doubling the tune there. By the way, if you like the sound of that, the doubled, but want to add some other stuff on occasion, I would recommend Kim Robertson's Celtic Christmas collection, because she has an arrangement of this that has a lot of unison stuff or doubled stuff, but also some lovely harmony in the left hand as well. Okay, so then let's just talk a little bit about maybe memorizing or kind of looking at some of the patterns in this piece. I actually went and recorded this on the mountain on Monday, and you should see that video. I'll upload that fairly soon. And I had to memorize it. I knew this song, but I had to memorize it, or I wanted to memorize it. And so just kind of looking at these patterns. So this beginning, to me, I'm really aware of the fact that this sort of E minor shape, right? If we think about start, we get this B and we end on a G. There's our E minor chord, right? There's that one little thing. Then again, here's that E minor. This is a straight E minor root position. And here you can think of a D root position, because that's what we have, except We've got an E on there as well. Back to E. And then for me, as I was trying to remember this, as I was playing, this is an A. The starting note is an A. And it goes down. This E is part of an A chord, right? A, C, E, A. Okay, and what next? To me, G. This was the G section, right? Starting on a G. And it's 3-2-1. It's the only time we get a 3-2-1 start to a phrase, to this little section. Aha, that's familiar, right? So if you go back and you look at the first bar compared to the... Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't set up a camera to track my fingers. I'm pointing at these things. So I will have the music displayed up here somewhere, but not me following along with my finger, unfortunately. So if we look at the first opening, and we look at here, starting from this G, once we get to that B, the second note in the bar, so here, or everything is the same. Here's this little 2, 1, 2, 3, 1. Great. Anytime we find recurring patterns, that's fantastic because we've already learned that basically. Then of course this. Oh, and now this 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's the same as in the very beginning, right? The end of the first full bar, or is the little phrase we just talked about, right? This. Keep returning to that. And then here, this now is the same as the second full phrase, starting from the end of the third full bar. Right? Root position E, right back up, and root position D, but with an addition of an E on the way down. Sometimes just kind of being aware of those patterns can be really helpful. Final thing I'll talk about is just thinking about sound quality, and even though maybe sometimes we're trying to play to the last minute, we also, and this is hard, this is what makes apparently simple piece like this actually really quite hard when you're first starting. Because yes, maybe we have to play the last minute, but we also have to have that pressure, that squeezing the strings before we play, even in a very little amount of time. So really thinking about the sound quality of this, right? Again, trying to have that richness and depth that we want, so that it's not too thin, and we're really connected to the string, even though it's fairly soft. So I think all those are some good things to think about in this piece, and hope you enjoyed it. As I say, look for some information about upcoming 8 years of Harp Tuesday celebrations, and I'm hoping to do another Harp Tuesday next week as well. Have an episode in mind. So thanks for coming along for the ride with this interesting voice going on, and I'll see you next week. Cheers.